Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I am Ashmit Kumar. Here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Positive global cues take the Lal Street to record highs. Sensex gains over 1,400 points. Nifty gains nearly 500 points. All Nifty stocks and sectoral indices end in the green. Inflation accelerates marginally in August to 3.65% as food prices remain stubborn. Economists fear core inflation could hit 4% in the near term. Industrial production picks up pace with 4.8% growth in July.
I am an entrepreneur who has built to last. I'm not going to sell out.
Biocon is not for sale, says founder and executive chairperson Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, adding that she has built this business to last, but she also reveals that the company is exploring equity investment opportunities to reduce debt. That's an exclusive. Paytm founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma promises profitability in the near term and a compliance-first approach as the payments company aims to rebound. Paytm will also apply for a payment aggregator license after government approval. The Tamil Nadu government is likely to intervene as workers strike at Samsung plant near Chennai enters the fourth day. State Labour Minister could meet Samsung executives to find a resolution. Workers are demanding higher wages and recognition of their union. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar says 75% of the disengagement problem with China has been sorted out, but also maintains that India's economic relationship with China remains very unfair and imbalanced. 18 people, including 6 United Nations staff, killed in an Israeli strike on a school in central Gaza. UN Secretary General says violation of humanitarian law must stop and calls the attack totally unacceptable. Veteran communist leader and General Secretary of the CPIM, Sitaram Yechury, dies after prolonged illness. Tributes pour in for the 72-year-old, cutting across party lines. The relationship between India and US has never been as good as it is today, says President of the US-India Business Council. The 49th edition of the India Ideas Summit kicks off in New Delhi with top business leaders and policymakers in attendance. 2 civilians complete the first ever commercial spacewalk and test the slim spacesuits designed by SpaceX. Billionaire Jared Isaacman and SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis create history by surviving conditions in the outer space for over an hour. Well, positive global cues and last hour's surge in the Lal Street helped the markets close at a record high. Nifty crossed 25,400 for the very first time, while the Sensex surpassed the 83,000 mark in intraday trade. Reliance, HDFC Bank and IT stocks batted for the bulls. All Nifty stocks ended with gains. The mid-cap index also hit new peaks to end over 1% higher. BSE companies gained a market capitalization of nearly 6 lakh crore rupees in today's session. Prashant Nair is joining us now with a quick wrap of the day's market action. Prashant.
And just like that, it was new all-time highs for the market, for the Nifty, for the Sensex. I mean, what a day. Starting 2 o'clock, and by the way, till 2 o'clock, you can write off and forget about what happened because not very much did happen. The market was up about 150, then it sold off, was sort of treading water with about 50-odd points, 60-odd points. But 2 o'clock, the market was at about 25,000, and I mean, it took off and never looked back after that. And we added, after 2 p.m., about 400, 450-odd points on the Nifty, and of course, a lot more on the Nifty Bank as well. So, just an incredible last 1.5 hours is basically what you had. Both Nifty and Bank Nifty will come up on your screen. Nifty Bank, by the way, also almost getting to an important marker, the 61.8% retracement of the fall from the all-time highs. The Nifty Bank, by the way, has not seen new highs for a while. The Bank Nifty, that is, the Nifty has. So for the Bank Nifty as well, this is important repair that we saw today. Mid-cap and small-cap indices, nothing extraordinary, but they were up, but they were outperforming frontline indices earlier as well. Sectorally, the metals index was the big mover, 2.8, 2.9% gain there. Autos as a pack moved up, and you also had energy, which was looking strong. So large cap gainers, actually nearly all Nifty 50 stocks were up. No losers, Bharti, Hindalco, NTPC, Shriram Finance, Eicher, Mahindra & Mahindra and ONGC were the top day-on-day gainers as far as the Nifty is concerned. Broader markets, advances outnumbering declines. Keynes was a big mover. Kalyani, there was CG Power, which for months has been flat, but last 2 days has been moving. Engineers India Limited, we heard from the management earlier. Century Textiles, Zaggle continues to move higher. Shine, Prestige Estates, you had Fluorochem, Sirma, which is another EMS company, Campus Footwear, Yatharth Hospitals, Sundaram Finance and Gravita India. These were some of the outsized gainers today. Some pullbacks coming through in Honasa. Granules India, there was, of course, negative news flow from US FDA. Prism Johnson, big pullback after the big move yesterday. Raymond, and you had a RR Kabel, which saw some profit taking as well. But absolute flourish of a day, all-time highs on the Nifty and the Sensex. Back to you.
Prashant, thanks so much for that. Now, the European Central Bank has slashed its interest rates by 25 basis points to 3.5%. This is the second rate cut this year. The move comes on the back of sluggish economic growth and cooling inflation. The ECB has also lowered its 2024 growth forecast for the Eurozone to 0.8%, marginally down from its earlier forecast of 0.9%. Gold prices have hit record highs as investors anticipate a rate cut from the US Fed in the coming weeks. Crude oil prices are attempting to rebound from three-year lows. However, a gloomy demand outlook capped gains with prices hovering around the $70 per barrel mark. Meanwhile, Oil Secretary Pankaj Jain has said that if oil prices remain low, oil marketing companies would consider cutting fuel prices. But as things stand, the government is in wait and watch mode.
So look, pricing decisions are taken by the oil marketing companies. But what we can see around the world is that, yes, there has been some fall, which we have noticed in the last week or 10 days in terms of what the crude pricing is. However, impact of any such price operates always with a lag, because one has to see whether the cut is on a sustained basis or will it reverse in case there is a disruption of supplies from somewhere, there is a hurricane somewhere else, some refineries get shut down.
Well, here's some crucial macroeconomic data. Inflation has accelerated marginally in August as food prices remain stubborn. The prices of cereals remain high. Even core inflation has ticked higher, with economists fearing it could hit 4% in the near term. On the other hand, industrial production picked up pace in July, growing at 4.8%. Lata Venkatesh is joining us now with more on inflation as well as the IIP data. Lata.
Well, on the face of it, it's a bit of a disappointment because the market was running with about 3.45 in terms of expectations. Our poll was 3.42, but the August inflation has come in at 3.65. In spite of the poll of around 3.45, 3.47, the market was expecting 3.3, that it will undershoot. Now, this is, an overshoot by about 20 basis points compared to the poll. So there will be a bit of a disappointment in the market, though the last word is always held by the US yields. At the moment, that 6.81 that the Indian 10-year was tending towards, we may see a rise in the yields. The other change because of the inflation number will be that widespread expectation that the Reserve Bank may change its stance in October. That expectation will recede a bit. Those are the key takeaways from the inflation number. But otherwise, this is a lower inflation number, 3.65%. The fly in the ointment is food inflation. It was expected to come in as low as 4.5%, but it's come in at 5.66. It's still lower than the 7-8% that we saw for the last 12 months or so, but still it's not fallen as much as expected. And within the food basket, cereals were expected to fall month on month. They've risen by 0.6% month on month. Year on year, of course, they're up by about 7.3%. Vegetables have fallen expectedly, but not fallen enough. So food inflation will continue to be a bit of a bother for the Reserve Bank and for economists tracking the inflation numbers. That's it on inflation. We will undershoot the Reserve Bank's second quarter number average of 4.4 because in the 2 months, July and August, it is 3.6 and 3.65. So we are certainly going to be less than the 4.4 that the Reserve Bank has forecast. But the important takeaway from today's from the CPI number is that it's a little higher than expected. Disappointment for the bond market. On the industrial output front, at 4.8, the number is good, better than expected. As well, CapEx has picked up. It's 12%. It has been low single digits in the first 3 months. The average was about 5%. So at 12%, this is clearly showing that during elections, the government did not spend much on capex. It's come back and spent in a big way. So there'll be an expectation that industrial output will do well in the months to come. The disappointment is consumer non-durables. That's down minus contraction of about 4%. So that will be a bit of a bother. That's the key takeaway from the industrial output number. Good number at the headline level, but consumption is still a bit of a worry. Those are the key takeaways from the IIP and the CPI numbers.
Well, thanks so much for that, Lata. Now, here's a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Biocon is not for sale. That's the word coming in from company's founder and executive chairperson, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. Speaking to Shireen Bhan, Shaw also said that she has built the business to last. However, Shaw also said that the company is exploring equity investment opportunities as a part of its strategy to reduce debt.
You know, there's a lot of talk around the fact that you're out looking at raising funds at this point in time, perhaps in talks with private equity investors as well. Kiran, any truth to that?
Well, you know, we've always said that we would pay down debt. So obviously we are looking at, equity investments that could pay down debt as one of the, ways of paring down debt. We are looking at other options as well. So there is some truth to the fact that we are looking at equity investments for sure. But we are also looking at other options.
So, you know, let me address the equity options first before I address the other options. Are you close to being able to close something with a potential investor? Is it likely to be private equity? Is it likely to be another pharmaceutical vaccine manufacturer? Is Serum likely to pick up more stake, for instance?
I know there are rumors, doing the rounds. I will not be able to comment on any of those things, but I think it's important for me also to maintain confidentiality in terms of these investment opportunities. I think we have a very porous system which keeps sort of, speculating, and I don't want to add to it.
No, I understand, but what is the debt reduction aspiration at this point in time? What is a realistic expectation that we should work with?
So, first and foremost, I think, as you would have seen from the last 2 quarters, we have comfortably serviced our debt. So it's not like it's a dire situation. I think as an entrepreneur, I have always wanted to be at a very low level of leveraging. And that's why I think we will look at paring down debt to a lower level. I would like to see how we can basically make this a very comfortable business where I don't have to keep kind of, worrying about, looking at our exposure in the future. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So I would say that I'm in a position today to say that we can comfortably service the debt, but I'm not the kind of person who feels comfortable at these levels. Let's put it that way. So that's why I wanted to reduce further so that it sort of basically gives me a better sense of comfort. I'm an entrepreneur who has built to last. I'm not going to sell out. And I don't think you should pay any heed to such speculation.
Well, what is the succession plan at this point, Kiran, that you're working towards?
Well, I think I have a very professional team of people. I think we have a very strong board. I've also made sure that the board is composed of very strong independent directors. That's the way I would like the governance model to be. In terms of succession planning, I'm almost at a non-executive level, except in certain businesses where I play a strategic role. But most of the operational responsibilities are assumed by my management team. So I really don't think I need to really worry about that kind of succession at this point in time.
Now, shares of Granules India plunged over 16% after the US Food and Drug Administration, the US FDA, raised concerns over its Hyderabad facility. The US regulator flagged 6 violations, including not cleaning equipment at proper intervals and failure to review any unexplained discrepancies. Additionally, the US FDA also issued a warning letter to Zydus Life Sciences manufacturing facility in Gujarat. The letter primarily highlighted concerns related to cross-contamination and poor quality controls. Now, shares of Mamaearth's parent Honasa Consumer fell by 10.9%. Equity changed hands for 1,760 crore rupees. Sources tell CNBC TV18 that Peak 15 partners, Sequoia Capital, Redwood Trust and 3 other venture capitalists are likely to have sold their stake. The floor price was at 8% discount to Honasa's Wednesday closing price of 522 rupees. Now, Paytm held its annual general meeting today, and founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma told shareholders that they were committed to delivering profitability soon. Sharma said that Paytm would focus on a compliance-first approach to grow the business and would concentrate on its core payments business and cross-selling financial services. He also added that the firm would soon apply for a payment aggregator license from the central bank.
परंतु अभी हम कोर पे फोकस रहेंगे, हम पेमेंट फोकस करेंगे और हम अपनी क्रॉस सेलिंग फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज फोकस करेंगे। मेरा कमिटमेंट है ग्रोइंग कोर पेमेंट को रखने वाली कंपनी जो एक प्रॉफिटेबल, सस्टेनेबल, फ्री कैश जनरेटिंग कंपनी है वो बने और वो एक स्केलेबल कंपनी बने। ये हमारा कमिटमेंट है, ये हमारा उद्देश्य है।
In court corner, the central government has filed a review petition against the Supreme Court's order allowing states to collect royalty on extracted minerals. The order also allowed state governments to levy tax on mineral-bearing land. The centre has argued that the 9-judge order has several errors and could significantly impact PSUs. Financially, PSUs reportedly owe 70,000 crore rupees in arrears to mining-rich states like Jharkhand and Odisha. SpiceJet has moved the Supreme Court, challenging the Delhi High Court's order to ground 3 aircraft engines for defaulting on payments to lessors. The cash-strapped airline told the Apex Court that an urgent hearing is needed as the order could impact the airline's operations. Remember, the Delhi High Court order has mandated that SpiceJet must return 3 engines on or before 26th of September. The Supreme Court has allowed the Adani Power-led consortium to continue to operate Coastal Energen's 1,200-megawatt power plant in Tuticorin. It set aside NCLAT's September 6th interim order, which had put on hold the consortium's 3,300 crore rupee resolution plan and granted custody of this facility to the resolution professional. The court observed that NCLAT's interim order has inconsistencies and asked the tribunal to hear the case for final disposal on September 18th. It also ordered the Adani Power Consortium to not sell or dispose of assets of the company. More courtroom action. The Supreme Court will deliver its verdict tomorrow on Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's bail application in the excise policy case. Kejriwal had also challenged his arrest by CBI in this case. The CBI had arrested Kejriwal in June when he was still in judicial custody in a case filed by the Enforcement Directorate. The ED had arrested him first in the month of March. Now, the Tamil Nadu government is likely to intervene in the workers' strike at Samsung's plant near Chennai as the protests enters its 4th day. The state labour minister could meet Samsung executives to find a resolution. Sources have said that the state's labour department is keen on evolving this matter. Remember, the workers are demanding higher wages and recognition of their union. And now on to a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. Westside is likely to open 30 to 40 new stores every year. Speaking to CNBC TV 18's Shilpa Rani Petta in what was his first interview, Trent, the CEO, P. Venkatasalu, said that the company is focusing on smaller markets as part of its store expansion. He added that Westside will be the only brand under Trent that will be available online as well.
Thinking about between 30 and 40 stores every year, we've consistently maintained that we will do stores that stand up to a certain minimum standard. We're thinking of stores which are at least 20,000 square feet and more, iconic, and make a difference to each customer that she can relate to in a particular micro market. In many ways, Westside does not only appeal to Tier 1 markets. It's as relevant today in Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets. It's a question of whether we find critical mass, Shilpa, in a particular market, whether we find the right location, whether we find the right building scheme and the economics work. If some of this come together, we're very happy, and actually very happy to be in multiple micro markets rather than in lesser number of micro markets.
And coming up on India Business Hour, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar says 75% of disengagement problem with China has been sorted out. More details in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Now, veteran CPIM leader Sitaram Yechury passed away today at the age of 72. Yechury had been receiving treatment for a severe respiratory infection at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. Yechury succeeded Prakash Karath as the top CPIM leader in 2015. He has been a member of the Politburo since 1992. Now, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that 75% of disengagement problem with China has been sorted out. Speaking at an event in Geneva, the minister also maintained that India's economic relationship with China remains very unfair and imbalanced.
So we've been negotiating now for close to 4 years. And the first step of that is what we call disengagement, which is that their troops go back to their normal operating bases and our troops go back to our normal operating bases. And where required, we have an arrangement about patrolling, because both of us patrol regularly in that border, because, as I said, it's not a legally delineated border. Those negotiations are going on. We made some progress. I would say roughly, you can say about 75% of the disengagement problems are sorted out. We have long struggled with the trade issue. I've been ambassador in China, so I can tell you from my time there that we are talking, 15 years ago, that we feel that the economic relationship with China has been very unfair. It has been very imbalanced.
In some international news, 18 people, including 6 United Nations staff, have been killed in an Israeli strike on a school in central Gaza. The United Nations has condemned this attack, stating that the school had been sheltering around 12,000 displaced persons. The UN Secretary General has said that the violation of humanitarian law must stop and called the attack totally unacceptable. Russian President Vladimir Putin met India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, who is in St. Petersburg for the BRICS NSA meeting. Doval told Putin that Prime Minister Narendra Modi wanted him to brief the Russian president about his visit to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Putin proposed to hold a meeting with PM Modi on October 22nd on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Kazan. Earlier this month, Putin had said that China, India and Brazil could act as mediators in the potential peace talks with Ukraine.
As Prime Minister told you during a telephone talk, that he was keen to brief you about his visit to Ukraine and his meeting with President Zelensky. And he wanted me to come specially and personally and brief you about the talks. The talk was in a very close format. It was only the two leaders. He had his two persons with him. I happened to be with the Prime Minister. So I was a witness to me, sir. I attended that conversation.
Well, back home, the 49th edition of the India Ideas Summit, which was held in New Delhi today with top business leaders and policymakers in attendance. Atul Keshap, the president of the US-India Business Council, said that the relationship between India and US has never been as good as it is today.
Look at our congruence in the Indo-Pacific. Look at our strategic congruence in the Middle East and with the India-Middle East corridor, Africa, and so much else besides. These zones of collaboration between the U.S. and India are so extensive that I can't even list them all. Outer space, we can go on and on. None of this really existed when I started out working on this 25 years ago. It's not my doing, it's the doing of tens of thousands of well-wishers in both governments, because the collaboration between our two great democracies is natural, it's logical, it's effective, and it's essential.
Well, the SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission's crew has successfully completed the world's first ever private spacewalk. Billionaire Jared Isaacman was the first to take part in this private spacewalk. He was followed by SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis. The spacewalk was carried out on day 3 of the 5-day mission. The Polaris Dawn crew includes pilot Scott Kidd, Poteet, and SpaceX employee Anna Menon. The Maharashtra government has inaugurated a new bridge connecting the coastal road and the Bandra-Worli Sea Link. Now northbound vehicles can directly access the Bandra-Worli Sea Link without having to exit at Worli interchange. According to reports, the opening of the bridge was delayed by a couple of months due to monsoon rains and technical delays. Rachnathan Rajani has all the details.
This is the southbound corridor on which I am standing here, and it was recently inaugurated by the Chief Minister himself. Now, the goal of the Coastal Road project is to make commute time lesser and lesser for every Mumbaiker. So as this connects Marine Drive to Bandra-Worli Sea Link for just about 25 minutes, that would further take you to the Western Express Highway, taking you to the airport in just 30 to 35 minutes. Talking about this particular bridge, it is about 136 meters long. It would even house bikers, which is pretty unusual for bridges, because bikers are not allowed on the Bandra-Worli Sea Link, but they would be allowed here on this arch girder that we're standing on. It is 136 meters with a speed limit of about 30 km per hour, and it is yet another step in the direction of the coastal road coming to its completion stage. In Mumbai, this is Rachnathan Rajani.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates will continue right here on CNBC TV 18.